was a 21-year-old in JNU, KSSP has been a source of information, knowledge, and inspiration for me. And I'm glad to see the Jatra after some years now reviving an all-important debate on the kind of vision we have for society, for Kerala, for development within quotation marks. This is very, very important, especially since the debate now has new factors, new challenges, whether we can function in the old way or not. I say we cannot. You have come up on a very long march. You are very tired, but I am not going to put you to sleep with a long speech. I'm going to just take up two issues confronting us, two major issues in the vision we need to develop and the vision that presently exists. One of these, I don't think there can be any more debate on what we should do in development without factoring in the extremely important crisis of climate change. If we do not do that, the rest of our discussion is worthless. And I'm particularly concerned because Kerala is probably the most threatened state by climate change, by rising sea levels, by warming of the waters. When I came here in 2018 and 2019, I saw the damage done by extreme weather events. It was heartbreaking to see in Pathanamthitta the complete devastation of the fields cultivated by Kudumbashree's Sangha Krishis. Till that point, in 30 years of covering agriculture, the Sangha Krishis were the most inspiring thing in a landscape across the country of small farmers devastated, in debt, in collapse. Here were groups of women farmers giving us a completely different example and perspective with the slogan food justice. Suddenly, and I have covered farming in 20 states and union territories. So I have a right and a position to make comparisons. But suddenly, for no fault of their own, the flash floods, the sudden floods, not only devastated their crop, but covered them, as I saw personally in Pathanamthitta, covered the fields with 2-3 feet of poisonous silt coming down from the chemicals and waste of industries upstream. We found at the same time that in Kerala, water tables were falling, groundwater was not recharging, temperatures were rising, entire equation between surface water and groundwater was perversely and dramatically transformed. Entire river ecologies were dramatically transformed. Loss of sand beds and silt. Many rivers, with the loss of sand beds and silt, many rivers and streams becoming unable to retain water, which means you will be alternating between floods and drought. In just that season, and that was a very early estimate, In just that season, the Sangha Krishis lost 400 crores of rupees across Kerala, 200 crores just for crop damage, and the rest from soil fertility loss, from land reclamation costs, and accrued loss on borrowings and collateral damage. Those were very tentative estimates when I came. They actually became more than 500, 600 crores. Also over the years, at the same time, I had also been to Lower Kuttanad, where you could see the destruction, and you can see even today the threat of the rising waters. Go to Wayanad at the other end, in north, you go up north to Wayanad. Now the temperature changes, the climate issues are affecting the coffee crop very seriously. We cover this. I run a journal called People's Archive of Rural India, wholly dedicated to rural India, and we are very disturbed by what is happening to coffee in Wayanad. Cardamom is nearly finished. One after the other, we are seeing what climate crisis is doing to Kerala. Climate change is not a joke. The largest driver of crisis in climate is corporate-led development. That is the number one accused and villain in the climate crisis. Corporate-led development. The very word climate change is a fraud. It has been imposed, all of us use it now, but it was imposed on us by the corporate world to avoid the real word global warming. When you say global warming, then people begin to ask, why is the globe warming? What is responsible for it warming? And then you start thinking about oil industry, petroleum industry, you start thinking about giant projects and construction and displacement. So you replace it with a word like climate change, like season change, like weather change, like temperature change, climate change. You can't pinpoint a villain or a first accused in this. That whole term is a compromise. We all use it because it has got accepted in that way, and it was the triumph of the corporations. It is very good for me to see that the KSSP is reviving a humane and democratic vision to how a society goes forward without destroying our communities, our environment, our planet. There is a very wrongly posed debate before us. And this very wrongly posed debate comes in the name of development versus environment. And development must triumph if we are to assist poor people. I don't know how you are going to assist anybody by destroying the planet. I don't see how that is possible. It is a ridiculous contradiction. This is a wrong and misguided understanding. The word development itself has many meanings. It is differently understood by different individuals, different communities, different classes. And we now live, what is the development we now live in? We live in an era of corporate corporate-led development. Corporations define the vision and the path of development. I want to say this, for me, all my lifetime as a conscious adult, Kerala has always stood for me for people-led development, not corporate-led development. It is the one state that has given us that example of people-led development. I think I was the most excited person by the People's Plan movement, by KSSP's many initiatives over decades. Now, corporate-led development, which is what we live in, the era we live in, that is the biggest driver of climate crisis, of environmental crisis, of hunger and poverty crisis. The corporate-led development involves many elements, but I will take 4. 1, when development is, the spearhead of development is corporate world, corporate economics, corporate vision. Then number 1, a rampant and uncontrolled consumption of natural resources follows. Number 2, destruction of great natural, national and global wealth in the process with no caution, no restraint, no limits and complete disregard for the human and for the consequences for humans and all living species. 3, this has a horrendous impact on environment and climate. 4, in the medium and long term, even sometimes immediately, there is a gigantic loss of livelihoods. We saw during the pandemic years how fragile are the livelihoods of hundreds of millions of Indians. If we have any responsibility towards our poor and marginalized, if we are to have any accountability towards our poor and marginalized, we must fight the corporate-led development. But 5, the greatest problem in our world, in our society, in our country, which is at the heart of corporate-led development, is the inequality that has grown so fast that inequality in India today, for the first time, is comparable to the levels of inequality that existed in colonial India in 1921. The levels of inequality we saw in 1921 are today back. Okay? And when there is distress, please note how much the ruling classes resist subsidy to farmer, minimum support price increase. They resist all these things, farm loan waiver, but how quickly they come forward when their favorite capitalist is in trouble on the stock exchange. How quickly they come forward to subsidize him to get LIC, State Bank of India and other public sector organizations, bringing the Adani companies back onto the Nifty's NSE indices so that you can steer public money towards it. This is a corporate-led state. In a corporate-led state, you are going to have corporate-led development. Let me just give you a few numbers on Indian inequality in the last 3 years. Of course, one of those numbers is changing dramatically as Mr. Adani plunges from 3rd richest to 38th richest man in the world. But the point is this. In 1991, India did not have even $1 billionaire. Not even one. Okay? In year 2000, India had $8 billionaires. In year 2012, the year we started our socio-economic caste census, that year, India had $53 billionaires. Then, from 2014, the number of dollar billionaires shot up so rapidly, right? 10 a year, 15 a year. From 2014 to now, to those 53, we added double the number, 107. Today, India has $160 billionaires. Now, the top 5, please understand this. We were adding at the rate from 2014, we were adding 10, 12, 15. Then the pandemic comes. You might imagine that in the pandemic, the number of dollar billionaires will fall. No? In the first 12 months of the pandemic, we added a record $42 billionaires in 1 year, 3.5 every month. Never before, no other country on that list was adding that many in a year. And at the end of 21, we had $140 billionaires. These 140 individuals, they held wealth equivalent to 1/4 to 1/5 of your GDP. 140 Indians is 0.0000014%, and they controlled wealth equal to 24-25% of GDP. Two individuals at the height of the farmer struggle, where your media, who are entirely a corporate run media, would not tell you the truth about the farmer struggle. Who were they fighting against, by the way? They were giving you a warning about Adani and Ambani long before the stock market crisis. Okay, and understand that one of the facts you were never told by your television and your newspapers. Mr. Ambani's personal wealth was greater than the GDP of Punjab, GSDP, Gross State Domestic Product. Ambani's personal wealth was greater than the GDP of Punjab, and Adani's personal wealth was greater than the larger GDP of Haryana. Two individuals. And the media was attacking the farmers. These are rich farmers from Punjab and Haryana. Rich farmer. Did they ever tell you what is the income of a farmer? The rich farmer of Punjab, we don't have individual farmer incomes in this country. We have farmer household incomes. Punjab's farm household has 5.24% on average. The average income that month, that year, was 18,000 rupees a month. If you divide by 5.24, it is less than 3,500 per capita. Can you show me any job in the organized sector that does not earn 3 times that much? Can you show me a single job in the This is your development? This is your vision? This is the kind of development they are asking for. To develop Ambani and Adani and saying then your farmers will do better? The farmers understood it better than you and I did. They resisted and pushed back the laws that would have deepened the agrarian crisis. The inequality, let me come to the pandemic and inequality. How it showed in so many ways. In the month of April 2020, 118 million jobs were lost. 118 million jobs were lost in a month. Center for Monitoring Indian Economy drew our attention to that number. But let me also tell you, when these 140 individuals, remember that in 2020, India GDP fell by 7.7%. The government of India said GDP has shrunk by 7.7%. But the 140 billionaires doubled their wealth in the same year that GDP fell 7.7%. The rest of the country suffered catastrophic losses, but your billionaires doubled their wealth. This is your vision of development. This is corporate-led development. Now of the 160, the top 5 control 30% of the wealth of the whole 160. And the consequences of that and of the state driving that wealth, you are watching every day. Today they have poured money into Mr. Adani's enterprises after falling for 40 days. His enterprises are showing slight increases in shares. That is your money, public money, money from LIC, money from SBI. Anyway, the inequality showed in other ways. It showed in online education. You may not know how badly it showed because Kerala has much higher digital penetration than the rest of the country. Okay? But I cannot tell you how it simply destroyed the education of millions of children, particularly girl children. I asked my reporters in Paris, go out and find me how many Adivasi and Dalit girls below the age of 18 own a smartphone on which they can receive their online education. In the Adivasi concentration district of Palghar, we could not find one girl. In fact, we could not find them in the non-SC, non-ST categories also, who own her own phone. Here, most of the Adivasis, their parents are working in the brick kilns. Only when the elder brother or father comes home on Sunday, then that girl will beg, Papa, let me have the phone for 2 hours, 3 hours. Now when you take that phone, there are 150 PDFs piled up. You have to pay 200 rupees to expand the package and download all those PDFs. This is what happened to girls' education. It is not surprising. I have looked at the numbers of the Government of India, published in 2019, the survey of social consumption of indicators in education. Kerala is way ahead of the rest of the country because you can see it in all the states. The more egalitarian and equal a society is, the better it does in digital penetration. There are more women in rural Kerala accessing the internet than there are men in urban parts of other states. This did not come about by accident. It came about by struggle for a particular vision of people-led development. Do not lose that. Do not lose that. Continue to fight for it. Continue to say that development in Kerala will be people-led, not corporate-led. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak here. Thank you.